he made empty promises with regard to the overall budget, right? He's telling us that he's going to cut taxes, that he's going to increase military spending. He's going to, all these other programs he's saying he's going to, but it doesn't add up. He's saying he's going to reduce the deficit, reduce the debt, but he's cutting taxes in the most draconian way with regard to corporations. And he's saying he's going to do this for the middle class, when in actuality, the bulk of the tax cuts go to the top, not the middle class. And yet he's saying that he's going to balance the budget. Somebody tell me, how did that work out for the last Republican administration that tried to cut taxes as well as increase military spending? How did that really work out for our budget?
Oh, it ballooned. But I mean, all Republican administrations explode the deficit. The last two. I'm sorry, the last three.
Yeah,
have exploded the budget deficit. So I mean, there's actually a strategy. It's called killing Santa Claus. The strategy was that when you have to go against the liberals, they're usually offering people stuff, a lot of free stuff. And if you're trying to go against somebody offering people free stuff, don't mind the frame because I know it's incorrect, but this is the way they explain it. It's hard to say that. So what you do is you also give away free stuff and then put them in a position where they have to take away things that you've given. So they blow up the deficit. And then by the time you lose election, you lose power, somebody else comes in. Now you have them in a huge fiscal crisis because you've spent all the money or given a whole bunch of things that have basically blown the budget surplus or messed up the country basically. And they have to fix it. And basically them having to fix that prevents them from doing things that they want to do to help people.
Yeah. I mean, and this is a standard play by the Republican Party. It's not surprising that Donald Trump, and I said this, and I have the receipts to back it. Donald Trump is panning out to be your average Republican president in terms of increasing spending on the military, having a far more hawkish outlook on the international stage, he's gutting everything. He's gutting everything he possibly can to pull this off, and yet still standing on stage and telling Americans that he's going to lower the debt, as if the debt is the number one thing that we need to worry about, right? There's this misconception that even Democrats buy into, that the number one thing we need to be concerned with is reducing the debt, when in actuality, we can fix problems better if we invest in human capital, but that's a whole nother conversation. So the underlying premise of his argument is completely wrong, number one. But the number two, he's outright lying, even based on the framework that he set up.
Yeah, I mean, it's an old talking point, and I think that like you said, the best thing that we can do is not buy into that and try to throw out a counter narrative. Like we shouldn't even be entertaining that because it's hobbling us. Yeah.
Exactly. And what ends up happening with that, Nick, is exactly right. We have to reject the underlying premise. Number one. Number two, because we have people like Bill Clinton who comes in and who performs exactly the way Republicans say they're going to perform. And then we champion and we say, oh, look at how great of a president Bill Clinton was. In the meantime, he's still gutting the middle class and hurting the least among us in order to accomplish these things. And then we turn around and turn it back over to a Republican administration, and they get to go out there and reward all of their defense contractors, spend as much as they want to on military spending. And still, it's a no-win situation for working people. And yet and still both parties are proclaiming to be the party of the working people, when at the end of the day, working people are getting screwed first and foremost.
Every time. And I mean, it's sad to say it, but it's not going to change till we change it, right? We really have to get out there and really understand what we're up against. Like people, they have an agenda to enrich, people who are already wealthy. They're going to transfer wealth from everybody else up to the people at the top. And we have to resist basically policy that does that in almost all forms.